I co-wrote a script for a Netflix project, which ended up not getting made. So I know how that feels.
Yes. Yeah. So most of your career is spent, if you're an average writer, if you're not Quentin Tarantino or whatever, most of your career is spent working on things that aren't necessarily going to get made. So I worked on a couple of superhero movies. I really, really loved it. The people, though, that have the greatest success writing those are people that grew up loving comic books and want nothing more in the world than to write a Daredevil movie. And people look at the marketplace and say, well, horror films are really popular now. Maybe I should write a horror film. Well, if you're not a passionate horror fanatic, then your script is probably not going to be that good, right? You got to stick with things that you love. You can't really fake it in order to try to appeal to the marketplace.
So what kind of superheroes was it? Was it existing projects? Did it belong to Marvel or DC? Or
Yes. I wrote a Marvel character called Iron Fist.
Oh,
it was to be a movie, but then they wound up making him into a Netflix TV show.
Yeah, it was a really bad TV show, I felt.
I didn't see it because they didn't make my movie, so I didn't want to watch the TV version.
So when was this? When were you working on Iron Fist?
It must have been at least 10 years ago, because it was right after they were doing, what do they call it? The first phase of Marvel movies. And they wanted to open up phase 2, and they picked 8 different heroes and had people write 8 different movies. And then from those, they picked 4 that were going to be in the next group. And that was Doctor Strange and I forget who else, but all of the second ranked ones.
Wow. So it's quite interesting the way you put it behind the scenes of Marvel and stuff, the way they put it, their phases and things. Because I know now Marvel is so big, it's huge. I feel it's changing the industry with their TV shows and everything. When you were writing your graphic novel, what inspired you to write that?
It was an idea I had for a movie that I could not set up as a movie. It was a story that took place in World War I, and it was about the spy Mata Hari. And so going to a studio and saying, hey, I want to do this thing about Mata Hari, who's that? I don't care. So I took the idea to the comic book company and did it with them, and then used the comic book and sold it as a movie to Warner Brothers. And so I wrote the movie for Warner Brothers after that. So it worked out great for what I wanted it to do. Unfortunately, the comic book company went out of business before they could publish my book. So I don't have the book, but we had enough of the book to sell the idea to make it into a movie to Warner Brothers, which I got to work on for a year, which was great. Again, didn't get made.
Yeah. How close is it when writing a script for a graphic novel compared to writing, let's say, a movie script?
I think it's much different because you're having to break down all of your dialogue and scenes into panels and figure out how many comfortably appear on each page. And unless you have come up in that world and know what you're doing, it's really a lot of guesswork to figure out, man, you can't end a scene halfway through a page, right? It has to be at the bottom of the page, and then you go on to the next scene. So it changed it quite a bit. It forced me to be more concise and to be a lot more visual, because when you're writing a screenplay, you're thinking, okay, maybe a year from now, somebody's going to film this. But then with the graphic novel, you're actually looking and trying to sketch out the page yourself and figure, oh my God, why don't I just cut these lines and I can have a picture of the car instead? And the reaction will be clear from the next panel. So it did improve my screenwriting, I think, learning to do that.
Catch full episodes of Into the Muse on Spotify, Anchor FM, and Apple Podcasts. Into the Muse on Spotify, Anchor FM,